Hello, mathematical literacy learners. Welcome to what I call the race to the finish line for level 7 learners. So if you are trying to get level 7, I feel like my chair is too high. I'm sitting uncomfortably, but I've already set the camera, so we're gonna go. So if you're trying to get level 7, you cannot wait until September. After September, you have to start now and say, okay, now that I know math literacy, now that I know all the concepts in maths lit and how to do calculations and everything, I know it now. How do I make sure that my communication between the examiner, me as the candidate, and the marker means business? It's level 7 attitude all the way. So for me, this is what I think you should do, and this is my take on how to race to the finish line for level 7. So 1, you cannot be scared of questions. You need to answer and practice all questions. A level 7's attitude is every question you come across, you try it, and then you get the answers. You check what you didn't get, and then you go back and try and figure out how to do the stuff that you didn't get. That's a level 7 attitude. Every calculation that you do, you don't assume you got it. You check the answers you've got. You have to be able to check your own answers. That is a level 7 attitude. Check your own answers. So make sure you get the memorandum or the answers, and don't be afraid also to calculate differently from somebody else. That's a level 7 attitude. So okay, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to take you with me with what I'm trying to do with my learners, challenging the level 7s to the capable. So who is capable of getting level 7? Anybody, because you'll find that there are questions. You find I have learners who got level 3, but on question 1, they got full marks on their June paper. So that means this person is capable of getting level 7. They just need to now learn how to communicate with the marker and the examiner, how to receive the information from the marker, how to then articulate properly and respond properly, so and communicate with the examiner in a level 7 language, right? So that's what we're going to tell. I'm going to say level 7 language. We're using a level 7 language. Okay, so previously, the question papers were combined, and now they are not. So here's what you should expect on your final paper, which your September paper will sort of be like a dummy for your final. On paper 1, you have 60%, which is finance. You cannot sleep on finance. Finance is a lot of marks on your paper 1. 60% of paper 1 is finance, and 35% is data handling. Now remember, data handling is 35%. So already, if you get that 35% only on data handling, you've got 35% on your paper 1, and then 5% is probability. Okay, so another thing is what we look at paper 2. Paper 2 measurements is 55%. So measurements is the maximum question, the question with the maximum marks on paper 2, measurements. But maps, plans, and other representatives have actually a high mark as well, because they are 40%. And they are less difficult than measurements. Measurements is not difficult, but maps and plans are less difficult than measurements. The probability question, if you don't know the probability formula, you don't know how to analyze probability, you don't know how to write your probability answer in a percentage, you're losing marks already. As a percentage, as a ratio, you're losing marks already. And then we get 300 marks, right? You must also remember that finance is possible to be asked in paper 2, where they link it with measurements, or you asked, for example, in maps and plans, you are asked the amount of money it will cost for the duration of the trip, right? So that you have to know how to calculate that. So that can be included there as well. So on page 4, we have term 1 for SBA, term 2 and term 3, and then we have term 4, which is only exams, right? And that is the external paper. So for your SBA, which is your 25% of your certificate, the marks that are going to be added to your exam, is going to be converted into 25%. But how do you collect that 25%? So you must try really hard to go in with maybe 20 out of 25, 18 out of 25, 17. You mustn't sleep on that. So on term one is your control test that you wrote in term one with your investigation. That's done and dusted. Then it's your assignment and your paper one and paper two for June exams. I'm thinking that's done for everybody. I hope that they're finished. And then we have term three. Now in term three, you have your control tests and you have your paper one and your paper two. Four, you write your exams or your final exams. Now your final exams are 300 marks. Then your mark in percentage, let's say you get 70%, it will then be converted 70%. So it will then be converted to be out of 75. So now, your midterm will be out of 25. So you've got 2 marks. You've got your exams, which will be converted out of 75, and then you've got your SPA, which is 25 out of 25, and they add 100 together. So make sure that you don't get like 7 out of 25 with your thingy, with your SPA mark. Now, your SPA, as I've said, has your control test, your investigations, your paper 1 and paper 2 for June, and your paper 1 and paper 2 for September. So now you've got one more chance to lift your SPA. In September, that's why I say start now, because in September it will be very good for you to get in paper 1 level 7 and in paper 2 level 7, or maybe level 6 and level 6 or whatever. It'll be very good for you because that is going to boost your SPA mark. Remember, for your SPA mark, your question papers have a heavy weight. They count more. So make sure that for paper 1 and paper 2 in September, you aim as high as possible so that you boost your SPA mark. Okay. So now we go to the final exams. Your final exams will have 2 papers. Paper 1, 3 hours, 150 marks. Paper 2, 3 hours, 150 marks. So on page 5, we've got the structure and the scope of the content. So question 1, which will be around 30 marks, right? And level 1 questions from finance and data handling. So they will assess you on finance and on data handling on question 1, but the questions will not be difficult. It will be those type of questions that say, for example, the definitions. It will say, what is an income? What is gross income? What is net income? What taxable income? So they ask you, what do you understand as is taxable income? What is tax rebates? They might ask you to go and read from the statement and then write the information as a ratio. That is a level 1 question, right? The question as a ratio, simplifying the ratio. Those things are level 1 questions. So when we talk about level 1 questions, those are the type of questions we're talking about. And we have data handling. So you see, like, it's around maximum 30 marks. I've never seen a question paper from between 2021 and now, which is in question 1 more than 30 marks. I've seen like 26, 29, 25, but I've never seen like more than 30 marks. So that's question 1. So if you get 30 marks in question 1, you've already got 30 out of 150 marks. Imagine that. And these are the type of questions that you can't play with. These are the type of questions, like the question 1 questions, sometimes I take them and I give them to grade 10s. So these are like the stuff that you learned all the way from grade 10. Except when they ask you, like, what is taxable income, which is the only thing that's not learned. Or they might even ask you, like, be careful. They might ask you, what is the median also known as? Or what is quartile 2 also known as? So quartile 2 is also known as the median, or the median is also known as a quartile 2. So make sure you know the difference. And they might ask you, what is a median? Which is, a median is the middle, the number in the middle of the whole data, right? It's not just the number in the middle of the data. It's the number in the middle of the whole data, all of it, and then it's the middle, because we've got Q1, which is the median of the first half, and Q3, which is the median of the last half, or the highest half. Oh, no. Q1 is the median of the lower half, so that means the lower numbers, and then Q3 is the median of the highest numbers. So if you go to the near the maximum, that's where you'll find Q3. And then we have question 2, which is finance. Question 3 is data handling. And then question 4 and question 5, now that's where they mix data handling and finance. And also, you must be aware that probability can be asked in any of these questions, right? So it's put anyway, right? That's paper 1. Now, if you know that data handling, you ace it, start with data handling. Don't do question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. When you know that data handling is your specialty, start with your specialty. But first, do question 1. Always do question 1 first, and then between question 2 and question 3, say, okay, I'm good with finance. Data handling irritates me or annoys me, or I say finance is my specialty. Data handling is my specialty. Then you start with question 3, and then you come back to question 2, right? And then what you can do is the time they give you to read your question, once you've read your instructions and you look at the overview of your question and you see that you are noticing that maybe question 4 or question 5 seems to be what you like more, and you seem to be drawn to it more, or you feel like you can answer it easier, then you start with question 4, question 5. Start with it. So if your specialty is data handling, look for the data handling questions. So that would be question 3, and then go to question 4 and 5 and check which one has a lot of data handling and answer it. Then you go and then you answer the questions without data handling. That way, you've already scored a lot of marks, and now you're chilled and you're answering to the best of your ability the rest of the questions. You don't want to leave question 5 to the end, and then you get to question 5, you realize it's actually easy to you than the rest of the questions that you answered. Don't ever do that. It's the biggest mistake you'll ever make. Always scan your questions first and figure out which one will be best to start with for you after question 1.